Welcome back to another recording of the Elevate Media Podcast. I'm Chris Anderson, your host. Today, we're going to dive into how to throw better events, how to utilize events to grow your brand and connect with people. And to do that, I brought on another expert. Imagine that. And so today we have Marley Majcher on the show today. She's an expert in throwing events, parties, celebrity events. Call her the party goddess. So, Marlee, welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about one of my absolute favorite subjects.
Yeah, and like we were talking about before we hit record, was we haven't covered these topics very much, is events or parties and things like that, and how to use it to grow your brand properly. So, to kick things off, what got you into becoming the party goddess?
Okay, well, that would take your entire show, but I'll try to make it as
Okay.
fast as possible. So I'm from Pasadena, California, where I still live, which is a suburb of LA. And I went to Georgetown, and
Okay.
because my parents wouldn't let me go to school in California, they're like, you have to go anywhere else. So they said you can come back, but you got to go out of state. So I went to Georgetown, and which was super hard for me at the time. My ADHD was undiagnosed, although I don't know
Okay.
how. And I got my business degree, but my junior year, I didn't have anything to do before, like in that summer. So I went to cooking school in Paris, and then I came back
Wow.
and I needed to do something, a speech that I knew more about than anybody else. And at Georgetown, that was nothing. So I interviewed this chef and decided I needed to marry him, but he was 20 years older. That's a whole story. And then I got engaged the month after graduation and got back into the restaurant business. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. So parties, what makes a good event or party if you're throwing one or if you're thinking about throwing one?
Okay. Absolutely, positively there are a couple key things.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, the host and the
Okay.
vibe that they create, but it's the guest list. But
Mm,
I am going to tell you that it's not the guest list that you think. Okay.
okay.
So most people think that, oh, I'm going to really carefully curate this, right? And I'm going to
Yeah.
have like my fancy friends with my other fancy friends, and I'm not going to invite that person because they didn't go to college, and these people are not going to. That's the exact wrong approach.
Okay.
The best parties are the ones where you have the CEO who flew in private and the gardener and the whatever, everybody mixed together. And the key secret sauce is the host or hostess making that work. And
Okay.
as long as they make it interactive and make everybody feel comfortable and set the tone, absolutely positively you will have, and I have done this my whole career, you will have the 75-year-old gazillionaire leave after, and you'll be like, oh my God, they're over there talking to so and so who is just out of rehab, probably still has the needle marks
Oh,
in their arm, and
uh-huh.
they'll be like, that was the greatest party ever, right? Because
Wow.
you're forcing a different dynamic and people aren't
Yeah.
used to it, and it's unexpected, and that's what events are all about, something
Yeah.
unexpected.
Yeah. Because the events I've been to, are like conferences.
Right.
So you go, you listen to speakers, they might try to hype you up a little bit, make you stand up and do some jumping jacks or something
Yeah, and you're so
and
bored. I'm sorry,
network. Yeah, yeah. So that's my perspective
but
of
that's
parties.
most people's perspective.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
how can we, because if we want to still add value in that way, maybe
right,
like with speakers, but how do we still bridge that gap to make it enjoyable? I know you said the host, bringing everyone together and the person who's running it, the MC, whatever you want to call them,
right.
sets the tone, but are there other pieces that need to be in place to make sure it's set up to be enjoyable, to be fun, to be memorable?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's why I get paid so much money is
Yeah.
because there are not that many of us who can do it that way, but there
Mm,
are some tricks, right?
okay.
One of them is very clearly knowing what your objective is for the event. You got to keep coming back to that because
Okay.
is your objective to like debut a brand, right?
Mm,
Maybe not, it hasn't launched yet, but it's a soft opening. Or is the event to sell people into a coaching program? Like if it's a hardcore sales thing Or is it just kind of networking to get high level people together because, later you want to get into the country club? Or is it a
Gotcha.
dual thing? Because you want to get into the country club, but you also want to kind of warm people up because, I don't know, you haven't been visible since COVID. So it's very important to keep that top of mind. The next thing
Mm.
that's very important to keep top of mind is your brand and your aesthetics and all that. And so many people think they have a brand and they really don't, because it's just so Casper Milquetoast, right? So if your brand is just like no brand, that becomes
Mhm.
the brand. And then how do you build on that, right? So
Sure.
if you're in a spot where your brand is kind of Casper Milquetoast, then pick something that's really unique and like highlight that. So for
Okay.
example, let's say the host or hostess, um, let's say it's the most buttoned up corporate thing, but the host or hostess grew up on a farm and absolutely loves horses or whatever. Well,
Uh-huh.
then have that be part of the total theme, that it's like, the cowboy situation, like in the middle of New York or something completely unexpected.
Yeah.
Still, so that people go, "Oh my God, that was totally memorable. I have never done a scavenger hunt in New York dressed like I was in jeans and a cowboy hat," right? Um, but there are all these different ways you can facilitate things. But the key is to come up with a through line that's true to the brand and true to the goal, but that makes people go, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen that." And people
Mhm.
think, "Oh, well, I'm limited by the hotel. Like, we're going to do coffee and tea service and like the bad pastries that just got shipped in." Well, I'm sorry, you're not that limited. Ask the hotel, like, can you do, cappuccinos? Can you have like a custom tea area, like full of different teas with antioxidants? Or can you have a tea bar in the afternoon that's got matcha
Mm.
and just little extra things, so that at every touch point, people are saying to themselves, "Oh, that was really cool." Like, it was cool, it was thought out, maybe in how you identify the tea. I mean, I'm just thinking of kind of common things that no matter how low your budget is or what kind of event, there are always ways, right? Like
Yeah.
in the like in the ladies' rooms, could you have a QR code and be like, "Don't forget to take a selfie later," or something like that. Since women are like, "Oh, you're at the mirror putting your lip gloss on when you leave."
Uh-huh.
There are always opportunities to make a statement and to stand out, and that your goal, when you're doing corporate stuff, well, your goal when you're doing social stuff too, is to have people leave and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're never going to believe like what happened at this event."
Yeah. Because when I think of a like, obviously, I just think of DJs, I think like, I don't know, soap bubbles or something flying around everywhere. Like, is that one extreme? Am I thinking like way on the far extreme on that side of things?
That is definitely one extreme. Yes, that is that is so okay, you're right. So let's say oh my gosh, yeah, that yes, you are correct. Then okay, but then
I told you
let's
I'm from Indiana. We don't
okay,
have
I so appreciate it. My mom was from Ohio, and I
Okay.
100%. She's like, "Marley, people do not like operate that way in the rest of the world," which I understand. But okay, so let's just turn that on its head. You giving me that example.
Sure.
Okay, so you're gonna have a DJ. Okay, great. Everybody's had a DJ, right?
Yeah.
But how about if you make the experience where it's one of those like silent DJs where it's the DJ and everybody has their headphones on, or
Mm.
everybody has their headphones on for the first 40 minutes and it's kind of facilitated, right? So
Okay.
I mean, you can have a DJ and then you can do it. What if it's okay? So great, you have bubbles. Well, what about having bubbles and everybody's like, "Okay, yay." But then you have like Bubble Maker of America there,
Yeah.
who does the biggest bubbles anybody's ever seen. And you have a selfie station of bubble gum and the
Mm.
whole thing. The drinks that night are prosecco or champagne. So everything is bubbles. Like,
Bubbles. Okay.
take one thing and just exploit it. So it is so stupid. Like, it's like a Seinfeld episode, right?
Yeah.
Think like that with your event. You take something. Seinfeld was a show about nothing for 30 minutes or whatever, but it was freaking hysterical because they took the one dumb thing. So it's like, if you've got to have bubbles,
Mhm.
okay, but then it's freaking gonna be bubbles.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
see what
Yeah.
you see the
Yeah, so
difference?
you play into the theme of the main thing you wanna do. So, for example, so we're at Elevate, we are starting to create a community for freelance videographers. We wanna help
Right.
them, go from solo to having a team, like what
Yep.
I had done with my company.
Yep.
And we're thinking about next year
Yep.
doing an awards event. So
Yep.
having people, recommend who they think they're the best wedding videographer is,
Yep.
best whatever, and inviting them to an event like this, a party type thing.
Mhm.
And I was like, how can I make it like actually fun and not just like go up there and talk about each thing? Like I thought, like, well, DJ could be cool, but again, like, so
Okay,
it's like,
A, call me. Number 1, we'll do some kind of like sidebar fun trade or something, I promise, if you seriously, if you
yeah,
want. But B, I would think, okay, so my first questions as a planner are gonna be, how many people are you gonna have at the event?
right.
Approximately. Like, you can answer this. Let's, like, workshop.
Yeah, the venue I was looking at could hold like 150. So
Okay,
that was kind of my starting since it's our first one ever.
got it. Okay, good. And by the way, you're very smart. Start
Okay.
smaller
Yeah.
and build upon it. So
Okay.
let's say you're gonna have 150. And is it gonna be, how many of them are gonna be videographers versus like their plus ones, or are their plus ones not even invited?
No, plus one definitely invited. Probably no kids.
Yeah,
'Cause
for sure,
we
freaking no
figured,
kids.
yeah,
So that's the biggest buzzkill in America. Okay,
yeah.
keep going. Sorry, I have 3, so I
No,
can
it's
say
fine.
that, but
So, and I think we'll probably offer somehow either by like selling the ticket for them to
yeah,
come or somehow to cover the open bar or like a certain amount of drink tickets or something like that at
yeah.
the venue.
So you
Um,
could sell a table. So the people that get nominated or whatever, maybe you could invite them to get a table, something so that would help like
mm,
underwrite your core costs.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Whatever
Um,
you do, do not do 66 or 72-inch round tables with the white tablecloth to the floor. I will kill you if you do. If I ever see that on social media, I'm going to be like, that MF never heard one
okay,
thing I
making a note
said.
of that for sure.
No way. Okay, keep going.
Um, we wanted it to be like a formal event,
Yeah.
kinda like, Grammy, Etsy type thing.
Now, when you say formal, do you mean that you're serving a sit down dinner?
Um, I don't
'Cause I
yeah, we
gotta
haven't got
do
that far.
this.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not sure on that, if it'll be like hors d'oeuvres type thing or like a sit down dinner or
Well, here's
something.
why I say that,
Mhm.
because if you go sit down dinner, right?
Yeah,
Which, by the way, a lot of you think everybody think that's quote fancy, and that's what you
right.
should do. But you can have really the most amazing, elegant thing and have everybody be way happier by doing it all lounge seating and
Mhm.
high-end lounge seating and
Okay.
past hors d'oeuvres and stations so people can get in little pods and chat. If I were you, I would
Yeah.
take the tip from, those places that you can go, I forget what they're called, but they're like literally like social media, like little influencer pods. Well,
Okay. Yeah.
you've got videographers, right? Their
Yep.
medium is all visual. So
Yeah.
why not have all these different pods, right? So maybe you have a contest during the party, like where somebody shoots, 30 seconds or less, and the person who shoots the best video or something with their friends, or you have an award where they got the most people in the video, or
Okay.
they took it in front of or they highlighted a product on the table. I mean, you could the other thing is you could have your client sponsor it or donate,
Yeah.
and then the videographer, or you could tell the videographers ahead of time what it is. Like, there's so many things to do, but you're then going to light them on fire on their level, right?
Mhm.
So that's their medium. Give them a challenge in their realm
Yeah.
to play with and have fun with, and then have it so that the goal is like, to post it in as many places. Maybe you have a follow-up award that gets delivered 3 days later based
Okay.
on the post that went most viral. I mean, it could be a million things,
Sure.
but the idea is that you you flip the whole thing on its head. You
Yeah.
don't go, I have a venue, I'm going to do a sit down dinner. It's going to be fancy. We're going to have these big tables of 10 or 12. Forget all that. Everybody's been really, really well. Now, if you got like a
Mhm.
Michelin star chef in and
Right.
they're doing these, and you're going to be
Yeah.
having rubber chicken and
Yeah.
bad potatoes,
Uh-huh.
and everybody's going to be like, oh, nice
Yeah.
of them to do it, but they're not gonna have had a great time. They're sure as heck not gonna be like, "Oh my god, that was amazing," you know?
Right, right. No, for sure. I like
So
that idea because then in more people mingle.
3 vignettes for
Mm,
100 people, right? And maybe they're in different color areas or has everybody switch to a different section at some
okay,
point when it's from the hors d'oeuvres to a different to passing the hors d'oeuvres, you're passing little, you know,
okay.
and then those make it into time. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen? Do a prize like before. So
Cool.
the one of the
Right, okay,
and
yep.
I highly recommend if you have, depending on what your budget is, but even if you have to get the sponsor, I would send out paper invitations. Send
Mhm.
out backup, like electronic ones. The reason I say that is because we don't get a real one